Well, we all do it at times. Every artist does. What is that? Well, every artist makes bad art at times. Even the best of the artists that you see on your favorite platform on Instagram, even the best of the guys, they make bad art at times. Guys and gals, of course. But what can you do to deal with your bad art when you have your bad art, when you make a piece that you really don't like? And how can you not obsess over this piece and let it be a pitfall for you? Well, I'm going to share 5 tips with you, things that I like to do to help me to get past my bad art, and maybe you can use these tips for yourself. You can do the same. So again, 5 tips to stop obsessing over your bad art. Okay, the first one, number one, and that is don't expect to improve quickly or too fast, but instead look for slow improvements. Okay? So again, don't expect to improve too quickly. Now, when you think about it, many of your favorite IG artists, some of these people have been drawing consistently for 5, 10, 20 years plus. And when we see them sometimes, we think that we should be that good overnight, but it's just not true. And so when you think about yourself, something that may be helpful to you is to look for improvements in your own work, but maybe on a monthly basis. Sometimes when you're new and you just started drawing, maybe you draw 4 or 5 drawings and you're like, man, they all stink. I'll never be as good as that person that I saw on Instagram. But actually, that's not fair. In order for you to see improvement, to get good, you have to draw a lot. And you've heard this said as being drawing mileage. And so you have to draw a lot. And so something that you can do is to try to look at your drawings over the period of maybe a few months, right? So if you draw several drawings 1 month and you draw several drawings again the next month, look back at the previous month to see if you improved. And it's likely that you did. If you've been looking at reference the way you should, and you've been looking for ways to improve, you will likely see improvements. Sometimes you can actually see daily improvements or even weekly improvements. But again, if you don't see those, don't be discouraged, okay? Look for monthly improvements. And if you need to, look for improvements over the course of several months. Okay, so that's the first one. Don't expect to improve too quickly. Instead, improve slowly because it is still improving. All right. So the next one, something else that you can do, something that's helped me, is to limit your social media art consumption. Okay? Limit your social media art consumption. And when I say social media, I'm talking about Instagram because that's one of the biggest art platforms that most artists are on. And so as you know, when you go on to Instagram and you go to the front page, and if it's populated with art, you see so much art, and it's all good stuff. It's literally endless, and that can be pretty overwhelming. And when you do that, what happens is you start to compare yourself to, again, some of these artists that have been doing their thing for 5, 10, 20 years plus. Okay? Now, sometimes you may hear people say, hey, it's not good to compare your art to these people. And to an extent that is true, but you do want to compare yourself to them, but just not too much, okay? Because when you compare yourself to other artists, that helps you to see where you're at with your skill. But too much comparing or too much comparison, it can have a paralyzing effect on you, or it could actually just make you give up because you're not even close to some of those guys. What you can do instead of comparing yourself to too many artists, or instead of consuming so much art like on that front page, what you can do is just choose a few artists that you really like, look at them and see what you like about them, and just look at those guys. Maybe just a handful, 3, 4, 5 people, And just when you want to consume art, look at their pages, but don't look at all of the pages on the front page. Okay. Now, if you have a hard time limiting your social media, you might actually consider removing Instagram from your phone. And this is something that I've done and I've heard many other people doing. The reason that you want to do that is because when it's on your phone, it's just in your pocket, and you have that urge to pick it up and to check it over and over again throughout the day. So, what you can do instead is to put Instagram maybe on your tablet. That way, you can still utilize it the same way as you would a phone, but it's not in your pocket. It's not at your fingertips as easily as it would be if it were on your phone and in your pocket. You can also check Instagram on a desktop browser as well. You can actually leave comments and you can see how many likes and other comments that you've received and such. Keep in mind that Instagram, they don't care about your art goals or your mental health. Instagram just wants to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. So, again, the second thing that you can do to help you to not obsess over your art, your bad art, is to limit your social media art consumption to just a few. Okay? Now, the third thing that you can do is to not try and make your drawings perfect. Okay? Number three, do not try and make your drawings perfect, or don't think of it that way. When you think about art, any art, but especially yours, you never want to think of it as being or trying to be perfect. But instead, you just want to think of it as good. If you do art and it's good, it's just good. Okay? But never think of it as perfect, because if you do that, then that can lead to you always trying to find perfection in your art going forward. And that can be really tough on you. Now, if you think about it, some of the most popular artists on IG are the ones who do the quick and messy drawings. I know you've seen them, I've seen them. The quick and messy drawings, sometimes it takes us a few minutes. Maybe they're capturing a pose, and people love them. Thousands of likes and comments. So try and think like that, not in terms of getting to perfection. So what you may want to do, what may be helpful to you, is when you do your art, when you get it to about 80% of where you want it to be, because again, you want it to be at 100%, which is like perfection. But instead, think of it, or think of your completed art, or think of yourself as completing your art when you get it to about 80% at least. Once you get to that 80% mark, you can check it off and say that it's done. It's good enough to post or to show. Now, sometimes you may get above 80%. Maybe you can get it to 90%, 95, and even within 95 and 100. And you'll be able to do that as you get better command over your medium as you're doing your art. But especially when you're starting out, try to get it to about 80%. And if you can't get to 80%, you can even scale that back to about 70. But again, don't try to make your drawings perfect. That's the number 3 tip. The number 4 tip is to practice finishing your drawings faster. That's right. Try to finish your drawings faster. So when thinking about that, if your drawing is bad, you feel that it's bad, just go ahead and finish it so that you can move on to the next one. Again, you don't want to sit there and obsess over the bad art, continuing to erase, and trying to make it good. Because sometimes, even though we may create a nice piece that we consider we consider good, that's good. But sometimes, you just make a bad piece. I mean, even the best artists, not everything that they do is up to their standards. So again, if you make art, you're drawing, painting, whatever it may be, and it's not up to your standards, finish it and let it go. And I say finish it because it's good to get into the habit of finishing your art. Finish it and let it go. And over time, what you can do is, as far as trying to finish your art faster, is that when you first begin drawing or painting, when you're a beginner, it may take you 3+ days, or actually a week or so, to finish one piece because you're still learning the proportions and things like that, and the details. But as you continue to improve, maybe you can whittle that week down to 3 days. Maybe it takes you just 3 days to finish a piece. Maybe you can whittle those 3 days down to one day or just an hour. You may even be able to get down to like 15 minutes finishing a piece. And of course, that depends on the type of art that you're doing. Just for a sketch or a drawing, maybe so. And as you do that as well, something else that can be helpful is to try and set volume goals. So think to yourself, can I finish 3 drawings today? Or can I finish 10 drawings this week? Try and think forward as far as you finishing a certain amount of art, and that can help you to move past those bad ones and to not obsess over it. So that's the number 4 tip. Practice finishing your drawings faster. Try and set you some volume goals so that you can be encouraged to move past that bad art. And the fifth and the last tip, is to look at your bad drawings as an opportunity to grow. And so with that, the first step to doing that is to realize the difference between your bad drawings and your good drawings, okay? Now, if you're just starting out and you think, well, all of my drawings are actually bad, well, you may say that, but that's not necessarily true. Because if you draw 10 drawings, maybe one or two of those are good, or maybe at least one of those is the best. So getting to the habit, or understand, or realize, or try and practice realizing the difference between your good drawings and your bad drawings, or the better of all of your drawings. And so how do you do that? Well, once you finish a drawing, look at what you did well and look at what you did not so well. Okay? And as you do that, you'll start to see that, okay, I finished this, did all these things bad. This is a bad drawing. But maybe you finish one and you notice, oh, that nose is good. The eye is good. I like the way I executed that chin. The proportions look right. Pretty good. Then you can say that that's one of your good ones. So again, if you look at your bad drawings as an opportunity to grow and get into the habit of understanding what's good and what's bad, that can be some encouragement for you, because then it becomes easier for you to see your growth. Okay? And something else that can be a pitfall for you when it comes to doing this is for you to be prideful. There's no room for pride when it comes to art. No room for pride when it comes to art. Not at all. It's important for you to be humble and aware of your drawings. And some people, they want to say, well, this is my style, this is what I do. And that's fine. But if you really want to improve your art to the point where others can really appreciate it, you have to be humble, and humble enough to look at your drawings and realize that they're not perfect. They can improve. And as you do that, you can begin to see how they can improve. If you tell yourself that your art is actually good when it's really not, or that your art is great when it's not, it's going to be very hard for you to grow. So again, you can have a realistic view of your art. You can see some of your art and see that it's pretty good. Maybe you're improving. It's better than some of the other ones that you've done before. But again, it's an opportunity to grow. And so if you keep this state of mind, that can allow you to be comfortable with your art. And then it can help you to not obsess over the bad parts or over your bad art. And so that's all the tips. Again, in review, what can you do to not obsess over your bad art? Well, again, don't expect to improve quickly, but instead look for slow and steady growth. Also, limit your social media consumption, right? Take Instagram off of your phone if you need to, and just focus on a few artists instead of all of them. The next one, don't try to make your drawing perfect. Next, number 4, practice finishing drawing faster. Set you some volume goals. And number 5, when you look at your bad art, look at it look at it as an opportunity to grow. Again, there's no room for pride when it comes to art. Be humble, know that you're not perfect, look for ways to grow. If you do these 5 things, then that may be helpful to you for you to not obsess over your bad art and not be paralyzed, and help you to move forward and improve your art. Well, hopefully these tips have been helpful to you. If they have, hopefully we will see you next time.